Spears, used for piercing and throwing, were the most common weapon. Other commonplace weapons included the sword, axe, and knife. Bows and arrows, as well as slings, were not frequently used by the Anglo-Saxons. For defensive purposes, the shield was the most common item used by warriors.
Weapons also had symbolic value for the Anglo-Saxons. Apparently having strong connections to gender and social status, weapons were commonly included as grave goods in the early Anglo-Saxon burials. The vast majority of these weapons were buried in male graves, but there were some exceptions. In a non-funerary context, weapons were occasionally deposited in the ground or near rivers. However, the establishment of a literate Christian clergy in Anglo-Saxon England resulted in the production of several textual sources which describe weapons and their usage in battle. Some of these literary sources include the poems Beowulf and the Battle of Maldon.
In Old English, the term for knife was seeks. This term applied to single-edged knives that had a blade length of 8 and 31 centimeters, and to the long seeks, or single-edged swords, which had a blade length of 54 to 76 centimeters. Archaeologists and historians have sometimes referred to the seeks as a scramsax, although this term is not found in any medieval literature save for Gregory of Tours' History of the Franks. In this writing, Gregory mentions that a scramsax was used to assassinate the 6th century Frankish king Sigebert. Early forms of the seeks are common in 5th century Frankish graves, and evidently it was not until later that they gained popularity in England. Thus, the seeks is primarily associated with the Franks.
In Old English, the axe was referred to as an aces, from which the modern English word derives. Most axes were found in early Anglo-Saxon graves were fairly small with a straight or slightly curved blade. Such hand axes primarily served as a tool rather than a weapon, but could have been used as the latter if the need arose. Fragments of the wood shafts survive in only a few examples, thus causing considerable difficulty in ascertaining the overall size of the weapon.